Hi, following on from my previous post where I talked about how you can clearly show a sequence curriculum through the provision of meals and snacks if you've got children from babies right through to a preschool room. I wanted to touch on other parts of your day, routines, or areas of your room that can also show a sequence curriculum, because curriculum doesn't have to be this big written document. It doesn't have to be a big scary thing. It's just what you want the children to learn while they're with you, what you want the children to learn while they're in the particular room they're in, or at the particular age and stage that they're at. So it seems like it's a difficult subject, but it's actually not a difficult subject. And if your staff can talk about it, you certainly don't need reams and reams of curriculum written down. You just need to evidence that you are actually doing what staff understand they should be teaching children, what children need to learn. So the sequence curriculum we talked about was meals and snacks before, wasn't it, from babies through to preschool room. And I think you can do the same in virtually any area of the room or any routine of the day. So I wanted to touch on another really common piece of the environment that nearly every setting has, whether it's a childminder, a preschool, whatever it is, and that is a role play area. And in this instance, I'm obviously thinking of a home corner. Home corner because it's what 99% of settings have, whether you've got some fantastic community playthings set up, whether you've got an IKEA kitchen, or whether you've just got a basket of baby dolls, a few spoons and bowls, bits and pieces. It all constitutes the same thing, doesn't it? It's about children learning what it's like to live in a family home, and what it's a very familiar part of their lives. So it works really, really well, I would hope. I was actually listening to a post that Alice Shaw did this week about a bit of a trend for getting rid of home corners. And I have to say I'm completely in agreement with her. I think all settings should have those resources, however you set them up, have those resources that help children to practice, role play out being in a home environment. Because as we know, some of the most interesting things can come up when you observe a child, listen to a child who's playing in the home corner. It can tell you so much about what they already know, what they're familiar with, and where they might need a little bit of support. So if we go back to the beginning again and think about babies. So with babies, all you might be doing is providing them with a basket of baby dolls, and I say a few little additional resources like some bowls and spoons, some pretend bottles or real bottles, that you've got around your setting. I mean, I think it's always great to have real and found resources if you can get them, over kind of the plasticky things that don't really look like the real thing. So when you provide baby dolls for a baby or toddler, what is it? Why do we do that? What is it we want them to learn by providing them with those resources? So it all comes down to the prime areas of learning, really, doesn't it? It's about the beginnings of caring, kindness, nurture. So how you treat the dolls, we don't throw them around the room, we don't leave them undressed half the day. We look at them as though they're real babies, because children of that age do exactly the same. So if we model, cuddling the baby, feeding the baby, pretty soon those older babies and toddlers are going to do exactly the same. They're going to carry the baby around, they're going to pretend to feed the baby, and you can introduce the vocabulary that helps extend their learning, can't you? So whilst they're developing their physical skills, and that they're, you've gone from a baby who's maybe only just walking to a baby who's now carrying something while they're walking. My own granddaughter used to spend ages trying to wrap a baby in a tea towel. She'd just do it over and over again. She'd get the tea towel and try and wrap a baby up in it. So then you are going to model a language, aren't you, that introduces the concepts of kindness and nurturing and caring. And you might ask, is the baby hungry? Is the baby tired? Or why is the baby crying? And you're modelling the language all the time, and you're modelling how to treat that baby in those circumstances. So you're developing the beginnings of PSED. You're continuing to support their physical development. You might even introduce some really early one-to-one correspondence. You might be saying, oh, a cup for you and a cup for me, or a cup for the baby and a cup for you. So that really early basic maths that is one-to-one correspondence. So again, the learning is all led by the child and by what you as a practitioner are going to say and how you're going to engage with those children. So that's kind of the baby room. So if we move on to the toddler room, 2-year-olds, let's say, you might have some more resources now. You might have an actual little kitchen. You might have some pretend food, different sizes of dolls. You might add in, a cuddly cat or a cuddly dog. We all love IKEA, don't we? Go to IKEA to fill up our home corner with all their pretend food play and all the little animals that they've got. So you've got a sort of slightly more wider range of resources in the home corner. And so let's think about what you want the children to learn while they're in there. Well, we all know that 2-year-olds and older children love to undress dolls. They're not so keen or able to dress them again. That's our job, to keep those babies dressed and those dolls redressed all the time. But 2-year-olds love to undress dolls. And again, that's supporting their physical development all the time, undressing them. So you can have conversations about the weather and why babies are wearing what clothes they're wearing. And do we need that baby was that baby too hot, too cold? Again, you've got, you might have a little cot or a cushion or something to pretend to be a bed for the babies to sleep on. Children might be starting to pretend to make food with the play food. You might have those little wooden fruit and veg where you can pretend to cut them up, or you might start using real fruit and veg. So you can be introducing other concepts. Again, it's all down to you and the language that you develop. You can have a lovely home corner set up, but if nobody's modelling the language in that area, then it's unlikely the children are going to pick up or learn the things that you expect them to learn in a home corner. They can always learn from older children. Toddlers can always learn from preschoolers if they're kind of mixed together. But you're the person that's responsible for the teaching. So you're the one that needs to be in that home corner playing with those children and extending their learning. Hopefully you've got a few books in there as well, that kind of model family life. And the key is also to sort of sometimes just to sit and observe, isn't it? And as I said, what children come out with when they're playing in the home corner can be really revealing what they know, what they can already do, or reveal what their family life is like. And the EYFS says it's our job to teach children about lives, cultures and families that are different from their own. And only we can do that, can't we? That's what we need to do. That's part of our teaching. So just looking at that one little example there, we're covering physical skills, we're covering communication and language, we're covering PSED, might be covering maths, we might be covering understanding the world. If you're going to put some shopping lists in there or a clipboard or two, the options for beginning to imagine making a list or writing are in there as well. So then if we move on to 3 and 4-year-olds in a preschool room, you've now got a slightly different scenario in that children are more likely to play together in groups and they'll develop their own scenarios for role play. And this is where adding in other little resources can extend their play even further. Again, depending on what you want them to learn. So I know I've been in lots of settings where the home corner gets changed regularly. It might become a cafe, it might become a shop, it might become the hairdressers or the travel agents. But my view is that we should keep a home corner going as a home corner, add in little bits of resources here and there. And if you want to do other items of role play, if you want to expand children with those options, is that you can do them somewhere else and keep a home corner going. So you could add in, hairdryer, you could add in, cleaning tool, little hoovers, whatever you have in your own home. Think about, well, what could we put into this home corner to extend the vocabulary and the understanding of 3 and 4-year-olds? You might use real food in, lots of settings use real food for children to kind of smell, touch and cut up in the home corner. They might be transferring Play-Doh into the home corner and mixing. And again, it's about kind of like planting the seed, isn't it? And then letting them roll with it and watching those scenarios develop between 3 and 4-year-olds. But again, there's more opportunities for maths. There's more opportunities to talk about fractions, half, quarter, understanding the world. You could put in different utensils, different bits and pieces that reflect the wide range of ways that people cook and live in their homes. Hopefully you've got a really diverse set of resources in the home corner, and your dolls and other little people reflect a wide range and diverse nature of the society that we all live in. So I think that's kind of broadly it. I think you can look at any area of your room, and you can look at it from what we provide for a baby, what we provide for a toddler, and what we provide for a preschool. And that will demonstrate, as I said in my previous video, how your curriculum is sequenced through the time that a child is with you. So again, you might, if you decide you're going to have like a curriculum board as opposed to written pages and pages of curriculum, all you're really doing is adding in some photographs of children playing in the home corner with captions that reflect some of the areas of learning. And again, it becomes a really useful prompt for staff, so that when they have visitors of any type that come to the setting, be it a parent, be it an LA, be it an Ofsted inspector, they can talk through the curriculum and take them to the board and say, this is kind of what your little one's going to learn while they're with us in this room. And then, if you're doing a tour, you're showing them the next room, and you can show them again, well, by the time they're 2, this is what we hope they're going to be learning. So I think keep it simple is the answer. Really keep it simple, and really think about whether you need written reams and reams of stuff about curriculum, or whether you just need your staff to be able to articulate why you've got what you've got out in the room, and what the intention is to teach children using those resources. Okay, I hope that was sort of helpful again. I think we'll touch on another area. I am really passionate about the fact that routines of our day and the environment builds 90% of our curriculum, and all we really need to do is add in those other things that from time to time, those seasonal things, those cultural things that help expand children's learning and knowledge and skills. But we do 90% of this day in, day out with the everyday routines and the way we've set up our environments. So hopefully it's starting to feel that it's not rocket science. It's kind of what you're doing every day. Okay, bye.